Hey, welcome to Meat and Manna. My name is AJ.
And I'm Lindsay.
And today we want to get to the heart of why we started a YouTube channel and why in the world are we calling it Meat and Manna.
So yeah, maybe a good place to start is with the name. So babe, where did we get the name Meat and Manna?
If you go to the Bible in the book of Exodus, God's chosen people, Israel, are wandering through the desert and they're hungry. And God sends them quail, the meat, and he sends them manna, which is the kind of bread. It translates like, what is this? That's actually true. And it was this little white kind of seed that they would use to create bread for food. That's kind of our heart behind Meat and Manna. Not only does God meet our physical needs, but we want to communicate to you that God also meets spiritual needs.
I grew up being very in tune with my conscience. I felt really strongly about things that I did wrong. And I've always been a bit of a people pleaser. When I was young and I did bad things, my parents explained to me that those bad things were called sin and that I actually needed forgiveness for those things. That made sense to me. And they explained that Jesus had been sent to take all of the punishment and all of the blame for all those bad things that I did. And all I needed to do was to ask God for forgiveness and to thank him for Jesus and what he had done for me. And that was a very simple concept for me to understand. I was like 5 or 6 years old. Yeah, I do remember praying and thanking God for what he had done for me and just feeling a real sense of relief and just being happy that I didn't have to feel bad anymore. So yeah, that was kind of my simplistic understanding. It has definitely grown and evolved as I've gotten older and started to understand more about my faith and what it means and more of its implications. But that was where it all started for me. Yeah, how about you?
Around 5 or 6, my mom taught me to have a God conscience. She grew up Catholic, and so I grew up Catholic. I knew about the Bible and I knew about Jesus, but to me they were just as real as Superman or Captain America or Batman. Jesus and the Bible were just really good stories. And so it wasn't until, fast forward, my mom takes me to a VBS in Richmond, at West Richmond Gospel Hall, and I learn about Jesus and I get a lot of candy, and it was something that I was really excited about. I go to Sunday school, learn more about Jesus. Our Sunday school teacher always taught us to read your Bible, and to me it was always the last thing on my mind to do. And so it wasn't until a summer's day with nothing to do, I'm grounded off my original OG Nintendo with just the 2 buttons, and I pick up my Bible. So true. I pick up my Bible, and the very first verse is, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. God just used that verse to kind of avalanche into my mind all the things that I had learned about Jesus, about who he was, the Son of God, about who I am, broken and scarred by sin, and what Jesus really came to do, to heal me and forgive me and to save me. And so it was in that moment that I just rested in faith in Jesus. It was there that I accepted him and I trusted him and I believed him for who he said he was. That moment has changed my entire life. It's changed the way that I look at family. It's changed the way that I look at my work. It's changed the way that I look at my marriage. It's changed the way I live my life. Yeah, being a Christian is probably one of the greatest decisions I've ever made.
Definitely.
Sorry, it is most definitely the greatest decision I've ever made.
So that's a bit about us. Now maybe we can talk a little bit about why we're choosing to raise our children in the faith. And again, that doesn't mean that we're making them Christians. It just means we're bringing them up with the knowledge of Christ and teaching them about him very early on.
I want the absolute best for my kids. If I could solve the problem of world hunger and I could give my kids the ability to do that, would I do it? And would you do it? I'm sure the answer is yes. I have found through every valley and through every mountain of my life that Jesus is real. It has completely changed my life. And I want that for my kids. I want them to know that Jesus is real and that church is not just something that we like to do because there's some people that we know and we like, but because Jesus actually makes a difference. Linz, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, all of those things for sure. Also just because it's true. lately, throughout this whole COVID thing, and even a little before, have been really interested in apologetics and just the study of Christianity, historically, archaeologically, all of the ins and outs of even like ethically, morally, all these big questions. I've never found an answer more satisfying than the answers that I've found in God, in the Bible, and in Jesus. On the day that that changes, then I would shift gears, but as of right now, for all of my life so far, God has held every answer. He's been ultimately satisfying.
There's a really great book called Evidence That Demands a Verdict by Josh McDowell.
Do we have it?
I think we do. Ignore how ugly the front of the book looks.
They make nicer looking copies.
They do.
It's vintage.
If you are interested in the claims of Christianity, if you don't believe a word that the Bible has to say about the Bible, this man, Josh McDowell, does a really good job kind of unpacking the criticisms against Jesus, criticisms against the Bible. If you are actually interested in finding out those answers, I think this is a really great option for you to kind of explore some really well thought out conclusions.
This is my pile that when I went to grab that one book, I was like, ooh, and this one, ooh, and this one. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Take a little screenshot. We won't go into it. There definitely are struggles, and it's definitely not a no-cost option to raise your kids in the faith. In my experience in my life, being a people pleaser, like I said, I've struggled a lot with just feeling this tension between pleasing God and also being relevant and kind and understanding to my friends who either are engaging in other lifestyles than what I am or are holding other beliefs than the ones that I have. It's really difficult for me to find that line of being obedient to God and what I believe He's called me to, and not coming across to my friends as someone who thinks I'm better than them or is judging them for what they're choosing to do. I think that perception in general, that's the big one that I really struggle with. What kind of struggles have you dealt with?
I would have to say my biggest struggle has been the perceived incongruency or incompatibility between science and faith. In school, we're taught that science is rational, it is logical, it is sensible, and faith is kind of opposed to that. It is illogical, it is not sensible, it is not rational. And when I'm perceived as ignorant because I have faith, that really bothers me. I don't want people to think that I have not thought about the reason why I am a Christian. I think we said it before, but you don't just enter into Christianity by diffusion or osmosis. Because your parents were Christians, you don't just become a Christian. Christianity is a choice that you make, and Christianity is a choice that I've made and I've continued to make every single day of my life. Yeah, I think when people think that my decision to follow Jesus was a rushed and hurried or something that was just a heritage that I've accepted, I think that is an unfair evaluation of how much time and how much real thought I've put into why I've chosen Christianity.
Would you say you worry about our kids encountering the same sort of struggle in their life?
Yeah, I would say, I think culture is showing us a trend that if you don't agree with the majority, then you're wrong. And I think Christianity, just by the nature of what it believes and what we hold to be true, is very countercultural. And so I do worry about that for my kids. We would love to see them walk in faith and walk in trust and love and loyalty to Jesus Christ. But at the end of the day, that is a choice that they have to make. And it is something that I worry about on their behalf. Linz, what about you?
I definitely think a lot about the kind of friends that my kids will make. And I recognize how big of an influence my friends have had on me and that I'm sure their friends will have on them. I do see her struggling in the same ways that I have, to feel like you're either disappointing God by behaving in a certain way, or you're disappointing your friends by not being a part of what they're a part of. The especially difficult thing is that I think when I was growing up, being a Christian at the most was just like kind of lame. Like I was like a goody two shoes. I just seemed like I didn't want to have any fun because I didn't want to go do any of the things my friends were doing. And so that was challenging in its own way. No one wants to feel like a loser. I think there was still a sense that being a Christian was still like a reasonably moral decision to make. And it was still something like marginally respectable. The more that I'm experiencing our culture today, the more that I worry that our kids are going to have that added sense of like, you're actually being really hateful by being a Christian. What's important for me though is that I don't believe that the solution to that is to pretend that God doesn't have expectations of us or that he hasn't commanded us to live in a certain way for our own good. He has done that. I once heard it said that I can't presume to be more kind than God is when there's things that he's written and he's commanded stemming out of his love for us and his kindness, even if it seems like that's not how everyone's going to perceive it. I would love to see my kids have strength of conviction. I'm hopeful that we can teach them to still love and encourage and build up their friends while not compromising on their beliefs and their desire to follow God.
We just want to be honest about what you should expect from this channel. The first thing that you should expect from Meat and Manna is practical advice of how to feed your family. We love food here. This body was built on donuts and french fries. And
Rome was not built in a day.
Do not tell that story.
It's a good story. I'll tell it later.
We want to help you feed your family fries or donuts, or healthy versions of fries or donuts.
But probably not healthy versions of fries or donuts. Purpose number 2 is to share a little bit about our family, some of what the Lord is teaching us, and some of the experiences that we're having as parents of 2 young kids.
And purpose number 3 is we want to help you see how God is moving and working in your family. We want to help provide you a little bit of manna. As God gives us manna, we just want to give it away to you. If you can be blessed by this channel, we want to help bless you.
If you have any questions about stuff we talked about today, or if you have any ideas or future videos or topics, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below.
If you're still here, thank you very much for watching. If you would like to, you can watch another video, which you can see here.
Or here.
Or there?
We're down here.
There?
We're under this.